Hi, welcome to Bible Walkthrough. I'm Adam Ayers.
It's Wes Warner.
And today for you we have a very strange passage. You know, there are some things that are mysteries. There's just not enough information. And I think this passage is one of them. It's puzzled people for thousands of years. It's spawned much speculation in biblical literature and non-biblical literature. And even today, fantasy games and various kinds of literatures still play with the themes just cast out here in this book of Genesis.
Yep.
Genesis chapter 6, starting at verse 1. When people began to multiply on the face of the ground and daughters were born to them. Verse 2. The sons of God saw that they were fair, and they took wives for themselves of all they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit shall not abide in mortals forever, for they are flesh. Their days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went into the daughters of humans, who bore children to them. These were the heroes that were of old, warriors of renown. This is a very problematic passage for many, because this idea that, A, there are these beings called sons of God, and B, that there could be some sort of interaction between them and women, the daughters of men. And there is a distinction clearly made there. And that would produce basically super people. You know, X-Men, right? Genetic mutants that are greater than human.
Yep.
The passage, no one knows exactly what Nephilim means. We get a hint of it in Numbers, when the spies go into the land. And there are two statements that really stand out. This is Numbers chapter 13, verse 29. Verse 28. Yet the people who live in the land are strong, and the towns are fortified and very large. And besides, we saw the descendants of Anak there. Now, the Anakim are the giants. Goliath is an Anak. It says, the Amalekites live in the land of the Negev, the Hittites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites live in the hill country, and the Canaanites live by the sea and along the Jordan. Then later on in the report, it says, the land that we have gone through as spies is a land that devours its inhabitants, and all the people that we saw in it are of great size. There we saw the Nephilim. And then it gives a side note, the Anakim come from the Nephilim. And to ourselves we seemed like grasshoppers, and so we seemed to them. So there's not much information given, except that somehow this sons of men and daughters of women equals people of great size. Now, what do you think about this, Wes?
Well, I think that as far as we know, like, angels and demons that we interact with today don't have the physical body to be able to mate with a human. It just doesn't work. That we can go into more, but so for a spiritual being, like one of these angels or demons, to be able to mate with a woman, they would need to have a body of some kind. So the way I see it, like, back then, there were angels that God made on earth that actually had physical bodies. And I think he put those down here to do certain tasks, like when Adam was driven out of the Garden of Eden. It says he put a cherubim with a sword flaming to guard the way to the tree of life. Now, Adam in his fallen state wouldn't be able to see angels guarding the tree of life unless they were actual ones he could actually see, because they had a body. Other examples people find would be throughout history, like different civilizations that would have advanced technology because of a certain deity or figure within that culture teaching them things. And this is what the book of Enoch talks about as well, which is a problematic book, but it is quoted by Jude specifically about angels who did not keep their own position but left their proper dwelling, and he has kept in eternal chains in the deepest darkness for the judgment of the great day. And I think that is a reference to a certain type of angel he created on earth that left their domain, and that's why he has them in chains underground. Jude is also the book that quotes the book of Enoch that goes into more detail on that topic of angels that taught humans how to do witchcraft and created giants through their mating with women and stuff like that. So it's in that theme that Jude is bringing up there, and that is one of the ways that all that esoteric and even like alien conspiracy theories and stuff like that are built upon. But some people even take that as evidence that Melchizedek, where did he come from? Why is he called the King of Righteousness? Why did he know all this stuff? Why did he teach Abraham how to do how to tithe and how to worship and stuff like that? Where did he come from? Well, one explanation is that he was an angel that God put on earth with a physical body, and he was one of those angels who was doing what he was supposed to do. Where did mankind learn how to grow crops or make fires or something? Like, well, maybe God put those angels here on earth to teach us how to do those things so we could survive after we left Eden. It's pretty tough to do that. I think it makes sense to me, but like Adam says, there is not a lot within the scriptures to really take a hard stance on this. So no.
And a lot of the argument that's out there centers or sits upon the interpretation of what it means, the sons of God. Mm-hmm. These, B'nai Elohim.
Yeah.
In Hebrew Bible, the term is used of these hosts before Yahweh's throne, particularly in Job. It says at the beginning of Job, there came a day when the sons of God were presenting themselves before God, mm-hmm. and among them was Satan. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Exactly.
So apparently, in the Hebrew Bible's depiction, the sons of God are these divine beings who have interaction with the things of earth, because God does ask Satan, where have you come from and what have you been doing? And he says, I've been walking to and fro upon the earth among the sons of men.
Yeah.
And God asks him, have you noticed Job?
Mm-hmm.
Job is another topic for us.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently these sons of God are divine beings
mm-hmm.
of some sort. And we're not saying God beings, but beings of the heavenly realm who do walk upon the earth. Mm-hmm. They do have interactions among the sons of men. Mm-hmm. So it's apparent that the Hebrew Bible takes this to be one of these beings, or some of these beings, who in their walking upon the earth have some kind of relationship with women and do progenate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think the burden of proof then lies upon us to say, why could that not be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if that did happen, and they did survive until the Israelites came into the land, mm-hmm. and if there were holdouts, the few like Goliath, apparently they aren't well received.
Oh, yeah.
Although they are great ones. So all we can say from this passage is that the Hebrew Bible does make allowance for this to take place, mm-hmm. but it places it in the past. And it places the outcome as great ones, the Anakim and the Nephilim. So we find that reference to them drops away after Numbers, and perhaps this small reference in 2 Samuel 21, where it says, the Philistines went to war again with Israel, and David went down together with his servants, and they fought against the Philistines, and David grew weary. Ishbi-benob, one of the descendants of the giants, mm-hmm. whose spear, and they always talk about them being descendants of them, mm-hmm. Whose spear weighed 300 shekels of bronze, and it was fit out with new weapons, said he would kill David, but Abishai, son of Zeruiah, came to his aid and attacked the Philistine and killed him. And again, later on it says, in verse 18, after this, a battle took place with the Philistines at Gob, and then Sibbecai the Hushathite killed Saph, who was one of the descendants of the giants. Mm-hmm. Then there was another battle with the Philistines at Gob, and Elhanan, son of Joragim, the Bethlehemite, killed Goliath the Gittite. Mm-hmm. Now, that's problematic because the death of Goliath the Gittite is ascribed to David elsewhere.
Yeah.
But these great men, warriors, are listed here, that there are a number of them. And it says in verse 20, there was again a war at Gath, and there was a man of great size who had 6 fingers on each hand, 6 toes on each foot, 24 in number, and he too was descended from the giants. And when he taunted Israel, Jonathan, son of David's brother, Shimei, killed him. These 4 were descended from the giants in Gath. They fell by the hands of David and his servants. That's pretty much the last mention of them in Bible, in Hebrew Bible. So whatever it is, whatever the situation is, and whatever progeny came from it, are in the distant mists of the past. And I think it's a very interesting point that you have. What would prevent angels from having physical bodies? There's nothing that would say this is only. I mean, people will quote Hebrews. He makes his ministers spirits and his angels a flame of fire.
Right.
Well, that's
We
true,
have
but
spirits.
exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they are solely spirit.
Right.
And if we have the action of Satan as one of the sons of God, it says in Job, on the earth, creating problems for Job, apparently there's a capacity to interact, at least to create death or plagues or anything else. We know that angels do have effect on humans. I don't know if there's a kind of cloning involved that went awry, or they thought they could do better, or if it was physical relations. Who knows?
But we do know it was totally offensive to God.
Totally offensive to God.
A disruption of his image in people.
Yes, so much so that in the next chapter he wipes out all the people on the earth.
Exactly.
And the question that tickles of my mind is if it says that in the earth he destroys everybody but Noah's family.
Right.
How did the Anakim come back?
Yeah, that is a good question.
Where did those descendants come from?
And it makes me wonder if they really were the sons of the Nephilim, or if it was just like, oh, those guys are big, maybe they're the sons of the Nephilim based on these stories we heard from the past or something, if they're still the same thing or not. I don't know. There's
no way
not
to tell.
conclusive. Yeah.
There's no way to
interesting.
Yeah. Did they see these great people and say, they must be born?
It's those people from before.
Yes, it's the great ones from before.
I know.
Who knows? Was it attributed or was it derivative?
Right. Yeah.
Don't know, and there's not enough data to tell. So, but that's your walkthrough. You can wonder at the Bible just as much as we are.
I love it.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to Bible Walkthrough. I'm Adam Ayers.
Wes Warner.
And we will see you next text and next time on Bible Walkthrough.